John was far from cool. He had gone straight from the ward and into a difficult meeting to which he had been summoned by his fellows to explain his reasons for performing the operation. He knew none of them would have done so. None of them would want to do something which might damage their precious reputation. He paced up and down the corridor until called and entered the heavily panelled room. He took some pleasure in its imposing grandeur as it helped dwarf the daunting physicians. From a distance they looked like small children in their oversized leather chairs, most of their bodies hidden by a long table. He was gestured to join them, but all the chairs around the table were occupied. John could see a collection of smaller wooden chairs at the back of the room. He walked down the length of the room to take one, his footsteps noisy on the wooden floor. Finally seated, the proceedings began, as if already in conclusion.
A cesarean operation is still far too dangerous,
Professor Wilson's voice trumpeted out pompously. John Sr., who liked to preside on all matters concerning obstetrics and midwifery, offered his condescending guidance.
Far better to get out the Simpson's perforator, my dear chap, after all.
He snorted.
It's only one infant and the wretches always come back for more.
Chortling followed from the others, and John felt his blood boil inside him. He hated that medical men were capable of slighting others less fortunate than themselves. Surely they knew better than that. He did his best to keep himself in check, but could not help but retort.
That particular wretch and others like her are incapable of delivering an infant through the birth canal, as you well know. And if I were able to follow Radford or Sinclair in Manchester and prepare those women with ricket-torn bones for elective caesarean section antenatally, the operations could be conducted in a calm and controlled manner.
How on earth would that change matters? It seems like a waste of everyone's time to me.
The chortles changed into raucous laughter.
Where do I start? Firstly, it would eliminate the continual repetition of pelvic digital examinations and manipulations which cause much distress and possibly introduce infections. Secondly, it would prevent the exhaustion of the mother so she is in better condition at the start of the operation.
He looked around them all, trying to look at each individual in the eye.
And thirdly, there would be plenty of time to arrange for those who cared to further their knowledge and develop their technique to come and observe the operation.
He stopped there and waited for their reaction, panting slightly with the emotion of speaking his mind. There was silence from the group. One of them lit a cigar and the match struck as if wordlessly voicing their contempt. He drew in the vanilla smoke, lay back in his chair and blew it out leisurely, clearly aiming it straight at John.
Well, let us hope she survives, and then we will not need to say any more on the matter.
As the professor spoke, John's shoulders tightened, but he had no more to say. It was no use. He could get nowhere with them. They would not change their old ways. That had been a foregone conclusion. Frustrated with their lack of vision, he rose from his seat so abruptly that he knocked it over. He picked it up, almost throwing it back in place, and stomped down the lengthy room, the echo of his hammering feet pounding in his eardrums. The voice of Professor Wilson penetrated his rage, and John's advance on the floor faltered.
Of course, there is the small matter of payment for use of the theatre.
An assault of patronizing eyes pierced his very being as he reached for the door handle.